Hello friends, in this video we will learn about UNO and UDHR. I hope you know about the huge amount of human rights violation that happened during the Second World War. Plenty of people died, around 8 crore of people died during Second World War, and human rights violations that happened across the world is numerous. The Holocaust of Jews, the bombing of cities like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the killing of people all across the world for various reasons, and all these were happening across the globe during Second World War. And this context led many countries to think that we need some mechanism to protect human rights, to maintain international peace. And United Nations organization was established after World War to bring international peace and cooperation. So I want all of you to reflect about the human rights violations that happened during World War II. I hope you heard about Holocaust of Jews and the bombing of cities like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and what were the human rights violations that were happening during World War II. Have a quick review. And we saw that the United Nations was established after World War II in 1945 to maintain international peace and security, to develop friendly relations among nations, and promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. So one of the main aim of United Nations organizations was to bring into the world protection of human rights as a fundamental right. Now United Nations system has 5 principal organs. They are General Assembly, Security Council, ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council, International Court of Justice, and UN Secretariat. The United Nations play a very important role in protecting human rights. Apart from maintaining international peace and security and its other functions, protection of human rights is also an important function of United Nations. Let us see the role of UN in protecting human rights. The most important thing that we need to mention is the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We will see more about it in the later session. Then there is a UN Human Rights Council, which is a key UN intergovernmental body responsible for human rights. It protects human rights in the international scenario. There is a UN High Commissioner for Human Rights who responds to various human rights violations and undertake preventive actions. There is a Universal Periodic Review, a review mechanism for Human Rights Council in which human rights violations that are happening around the world is accounted. Then there are various sister organizations of UN, like FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization, then International Labour Organizations, etc. And these organizations try to protect human rights in their own field. Like Food and Agricultural Organization try to maintain the right to food across the globe. The International Labour Organization try to bring labor rights into the international scenario, and so on. And UN also tries to do some ground activities at various countries where special problems are in existence. So this is how UN is working in the field of human rights. There are several mechanisms established by UN to protect human rights all across the globe. And the most important thing that we need to study, or from the human rights perspective, the most important contribution from the part of UN is UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's a historic document adopted by UN General Assembly on 10th December 1948. You all might know December 10th is World Human Rights Day. So how did that day become Human Rights Day? It is because Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted on that day. And what is UDHR, or Universal Declaration of Human Rights? It's a declaration consisting of 30 articles, and these 30 articles affirm an individual's rights. Let us quickly go through the 30 articles. These are the 30 articles of the UDHR. UDHR has a preamble and 30 articles. The UDHR is so important because it was like a guiding lamp to many of the countries while making their constitution. The Indian constitution, even the Indian constitution, has plenty of reflections from this document. So it came in 1948. When did the Indian constitution came into existence? 1950. So just 2 years after the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Indian constitution came into existence. So the fundamental rights that we see in Indian constitution is very much similar to the UDHR articles. So the 30 articles correspond to different perspectives of human rights. Let us quickly go through them. You can see the article 1 and 2. They are the foundation blocks of the UDHR. The right to equality and freedom from discrimination. You can see the first 5 articles actually are fundamental rights. So these 5 articles are fundamental rights. The right to equality, freedom from discrimination, right to life, liberty, personal security, freedom from slavery, freedom from torture and degrading treatment. All these constitute fundamental rights. So we can see all different categories of rights in UDHR. Now in the article 6 to 11, what are the rights that are protected? The right to recognition as a person before the law, right to equality before the law, right to remedy by competent tribunal, freedom from arbitrary arrest and exile, right to fair public hearing, right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. So these are the articles that are dealt in these are the concepts that are dealt in article 6 to 11. What type of rights are they? They are legal rights. So the second category of rights that we can see in UDHR is the legal rights. Article 6 to 11 mainly pertains to the legal rights of an individual. Then when we come to the next set of articles, the article 12, freedom from interference with privacy, family and correspondence, right to freedom, right to free movement in and out of the country, right to asylum. What does asylum means? Asylum means if somebody is not a citizen of that country and somebody is forced to get out of their own country, then the other country will try to offer protection for them. That is called asylum. For example, the Rohingyas from the Myanmar, they are persecuted minorities there. They are forced to flee their country, and they came to India and Bangladesh, and they are actually protected in our country, and that is called asylum. So right to asylum is a fundamental right, is a human right. Then right to nationality and the freedom to change it, right to marriage, right to own property. Then all these are different articles of UDHR. So in the articles 12 to 17, the type of human rights that are dealt are the civil and political rights. So civil rights and political rights are dealt in the articles 12 to 17. If you are able to study these articles, it will be very good. But even if it is very difficult, you can just understand that what is the concept or what type of articles are different articles. Then in the article 18 to 21, you can see freedom of belief and religion, freedom of opinion and information, right of peaceful assembly and association, right to participate in government and in free elections. So let me call these rights as our constitutional liberties. They are political rights, some kind of political and cultural rights are there, right? Freedom of religion, etc. But let me classify this as constitutional liberties. Then when we come to the next set of rights, Article 22 is the right to social security, then right to desirable work, that is an economic right? Then right to rest and leisure, again an economic right, then right to adequate living standard, kind of an economic right, then right to education, right to participate in the cultural life of the community, right to a social order that articulates this document. So let me classify the rights from Article 22 to 27 as cultural, economical and social rights. So here we see social, economic and cultural rights. Then Article 28, 29 and 30, they remind us that rights come with obligations and that none of the rights mentioned in the UDHR can be used to violate the spirit of the United Nations. So here you can see right to a social order, community duties essential to free and full development, and freedom from state or personal interference in the above rights. So these three rights finally reminds us that rights come with duty and also not to violate the spirit of the UDHR. So these are the different classes of rights that you can see in the UDHR. The first 5 articles are fundamental rights. Then there is a set of legal rights. Then there are some civil and political rights. Then it offers some constitutional liberties. Then there are also some social, economic and cultural rights. And finally, as a wind-up, there are some rights, there are some duties, and there is a system to ensure that these rights are maintained. So this is the broad understanding about the different sets of rights. Let us quickly go through them. Article 1 to 2, this established the basic concept of dignity, liberty, equality and brotherhood. Article 3 to 5, they are the rights to life and the prohibition of slavery and torture. So generally articles 1 to 5, they correspond to fundamental rights. Then article 6 to 11 refer to the fundamental legality of human rights with specific remedies. So they are legal rights. Then article 12 to 17, the rights of the individual towards the community, which is the civil rights, civil and political rights. Then article 18 to 21 are the constitutional liberties. Many freedoms are there: freedom of thought, opinion, religion, conscience, peaceful association. All these liberties are in article 18 to 21. Then article 22 to 27 offer economic, social and cultural rights. And finally article 28 to 30 establish the general ways of using these rights, the areas in which these rights of the individual cannot be applied, and that they cannot be overcome against the individual. So I hope this session on UNO and UDHR was easy for you. Thank you.